What's up, everybody? This is Passion 9, and today we got episode 7 of Attack on Titan Season 4, or 66 if you are going by the rest of the series. And damn. This was a fun episode, man. Holy crap, did a lot go down today. Better than I thought it would be, honestly. Now, I knew they were bringing back Armin. I knew it was going to be this episode. Because, you know, you can't leave out Armin for too long when you got all these other scout members. Hanji's back for a minute. So, the few stragglers, the few missing ones, have returned. You know, I knew they'd show up in this episode. I just knew. But, yeah, man, this episode kicks off right where we left off last time. And it's actually really shocking to me, because I did not expect... First off, I didn't expect the scout side of things to have such an upper hand, because if there's one thing I would like to get out of the way right away, is that Marley took a freaking beating in this episode. They got their asses handed to them. Way more than I expected. Like, I knew, you know, with that episode, the last episode with Eren just losing his mind and, you know, just going nutso on everybody at the stage. I didn't expect them to so utterly, just completely decimate Marley's defenses. Like, completely owned on every level. Like, first off, we get the scouts, including Levi, you know, leading the gang around. Utterly just wrecking. Now I know what they call it. They call it the Jaw Titan. That's what that dude's all about. The Jaw Titan. I still say he looks a little like a lion. But, you know, he's not. He's not a lion. He's not a giant cat. He's just got a big skull face. And he got his ass kicked. We start off this episode with him just getting totally owned by the scouts. A little bit, you know. I was actually surprised to see some of the scouts get shot down, but obviously none of them are our main characters, so it's like, it's one of those things where I kept thinking like, oh shit, was that Sasha? Was that Levi? That obviously wasn't Levi, but I was just like, oh, somebody bit the dust. Some nameless scout, you know. It makes me wonder how many of them were flying around at this point in the story, because we have all of our mains, but then there were quite a few, nameless guys, you know, red shirts, I guess you could just say, in the periphery of the action. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of them. There's a whole lot of scouts. But on top of that, Armin finally makes his return. He's on this little boat, this little rickety boat, and he pulls down the hood, and I knew right away. I knew even before that. I was like, yeah, it's gotta be Armin, right? Who else could that be at this point? You know, as soon as that Marley Navy guy was like, he spotted the boat, and he was just like, who's that? I'm like, I know who that is. I know exactly who that is. It's our boy Armin. Just immediately going Colossal. Going into Colossal Titan mode and just wrecking shit like it don't mean a thing. And much like in Shiganshina, whenever you shift into the Colossal Titan, there's a massive explosion. Like, massive. We're talking nuclear levels here. And we see that same effect that we saw in Shiganshina. And I like the consistency there, because we've never seen it in such a populated area. You know, we saw it in Shiganshina, but that was like wrecked and devoid of civilians. So, you know, it was more like a big cluttered battlefield, but there wasn't like residential civilian filled homes, you know what I mean? Here, it's like we got this whole Navy base that just gets obliterated into nothing, to the point where even the water is drained away on that beach. and then like half of Marley gets freaking ripped apart by this explosion, and people are falling off their feet from the shock, you know, the shock wave or whatever. Very similar to Shiganshina, but it looked more intense than ever because of the setting. And I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool that that was kept key. In fact, he only goes Colossal for the explosion, because we see him pop out of there afterwards and just looking at all the destruction laid out around him. And he's like, is this what you saw, Berthold? Is this the kind of, like, destruction and carnage you had to see every time you shifted? Because that's the thing about being the Colossal Titan. All you have to do is transform to wreck shit. That's it. And that might just do the job. And surely enough, that's all it was. It was basically just a giant nuclear explosion. And that whole Navy area was just like wiped away from existence. So, pretty wild stuff. They were obviously planning that as a literal bomb attack on the fleet. So, I wasn't quite expecting that. I kind of forgot about the explosion a little bit. And I just thought, oh, he's going to take on the Beast Titan. Speaking of which, the Beast Titan getting owned by Levi even faster than the last time they met was something I also didn't expect. But it was fun. I mean, certainly not as flashy or memorable as the first time he took him down to his feet. I mean, that was like unforgettable. Probably one of the most badass moments in Season 3, actually, now that I think about it. Is Levi taking down the Beast Titan, bringing him to his knees. But we don't get that this time. It's very like just on a whim. He just flies by. Whoosh, Beast Titan falls. No, nothing more to it. No pomp, no flash to that moment. It was just like, yep, got you again. So that was fun. It was fun to see that Levi is still the Achilles heel of the Beast Titan. You just can't deal with that guy. And I like how he's calling him out too. That's the worst part of it. The most humiliating part of it for Beast Titan is he's calling him out beforehand. He's like, I don't want Eren, I want Levi. Levi, come out, you coward. I think you called him a coward. I can't remember. Either way, he was taunting. He wanted Levi. And that got me thinking, oh, it's not going to go like last time. Levi's going to have a struggle here, isn't he? Nope. Not in this episode. I mean, I don't think the Beast Titan is necessarily out of the picture completely. I don't think Zeke is dead. But the way that went, it seemed like he could be. I mean, he's definitely wrecked. I know that. Because they have those explosive spears now that they've been using for all kinds of shit. That's like half of their attack strategy now is just blasting out those rockets they have. They're basically portable missiles. They have portable missiles on their hips now. Like, that's pretty cool that we get to see that utilized. The evolution of the Thunder Spears put into full use in this episode. So that was cool. But I think the standout of this episode, for me at least, was Eren trying to break open, I still don't know her name, the maid lady that turns into the Hammer Titan. It gets turned into pudding in this episode. A lot of surprises, a lot of things I just didn't expect. Like, she gets totally and utterly annihilated. So the the Warhammer Titan apparently, as far as I can tell, isn't going to be back anytime soon. Except that Eren does swallow what's left of her. So one would assume that he's gonna inherit something there. I don't exactly know. I don't know if he's gonna have like the Warhammer's hardening powers. I guess that's the implication, is he's gonna have the same hardening powers now. And he was just about to chomp down on the Jaw Titan and gain his powers, but of course that's where we get our cliffhanger, where Reiner pops back out. And we'll get back to Reiner in a minute, but I do want to say most shocking and most awesome moment in this whole show for me was when Eren, you know, he's trying to break open the crystal that this Warhammer girl is stuck in. He's like, he actually acknowledges what I was thinking last episode. He was like, just like Annie, you know, she's in this crystal cocoon. I can't get her out of there. And I love that he bites down with his jaw, and we actually see his jaw break open. Even his tightened jaws couldn't break through this thing. It shows you just how hard that thing is. I really do wonder how the hell they get Annie back into the show. Unless she is able to manually get herself out of the crystal. I don't know how that works, but... I mean, it seems like once you're in there, you're kind of frozen? I don't know how that works, but... she is supposed to come back at some point. But I like the acknowledge. He acknowledges that, yeah, it's just like Annie. It's too hard for me to crack open with my tightened jaws. So he needs a new pair of jaws. He borrows them from the Jaw Titan. And that's how this goes. And he is literally, he grabs his head, and he's literally shoving the crystal cocoon into Jaw Titan's mouth and pressing down like it's a freaking, what do they call those things? Jawbreakers. It's like, oh man. I mean, that's what he did. He just had him slowly, agonizingly crack open the crystal cocoon that Warhammer woman was hiding in. And she's totally helpless. She can't do anything, apparently. She obviously can't just escape that thing when she wants to, because her opportunity was there. Like, before she got shoved into the Jaw Titan's mouth. But then again, it's not like she would have gotten away if she did break out, so I guess she didn't really have an opportunity after all. Frightening, though. It's a frightening moment, but it's also kind of badass that he came up with that strategy. He's like, oh, my jaws won't work. Let's try yours. And it's just a good little moment there. It's a surreal, horrific moment. And of course it works. The cocoon gets busted open, and you know, he just turns her into a bloody pudding and just downs her. It's like he really was just messing with a jawbreaker, you know? He needed somebody to get it broken. So, and it worked. It worked, and now he has the Warhammer's power. Which I look forward to seeing what that's like for Eren, or what he's going to do with it. But now he's an even stronger Titan. So that's pretty wild stuff. So what else we got here? Poor Reiner. I guess we got to mention poor Reiner, who is so fed up with war in general. He's so fed up with, you know, what he did all those years ago that kind of launched this conflict into action. And, you know, being sort of helpless here with the revenge of Eren and his gang. You know, he feels like he just has nothing left to contribute. Other than rescuing Falco, which is where he put all the remaining, like, Titan power he had into doing. He just, you know, got them out of the rubble. But it's actually a really kind of touching moment, because Falco at this point in the story is probably the most empathetic character in the entire story. Of all of our new characters, he's like the most noble, you know? He goes down there into Reiner's little flesh cockpit thingy, and he's just like, ah, man, leave it to us, you know? You don't have to feel like this is all your war, and, you know, not everybody's an enemy. You've got me and Gabby and all them. It's just kind of a touching moment there. Like, you don't expect that from, you know, a kid who's like, to talk to his commander like that is kind of like, you know, because Reiner's unconscious, of course. He's used up all that power, so he's unconscious. And, you know, out of commission until the last minute in the episode, when he gets tired of all the screaming and yelling for help. Snaps him out of his self-loathing stupor there. Well, that's a tongue twister. Self-loathing stupor. Because, you know, he's sick of it. He's sick of Titans, he's sick of walls, he's sick of the whole shebang. Probably sick of Marley, too. He's sick of everything. So, Reiner is just like, I'm out. I'm going in the corner, guys. You do whatever you gotta do. Run. Probably best. And, he doesn't say run. I made that part up. But it's still pretty freaking cool. Like, that there's still some camaraderie. Like, yeah, Marley is messed up. But I do really respect the fact that the show is... Because I've already heard people in like other reviews of the season so far saying like, oh wait, Eren and them are the bad guys now? We can't have that. We have to root for somebody. And it's like, I mean, you could see them as the villains, but they don't see themselves that way. Well, I guess Eren kind of does, because he's kind of relishing his very much perceived villainy at this point, and I don't know, man. If you ask me, he's doing some messed up stuff at this point. But you gotta remember what got him there. So, the point is, you're not really supposed to want this. You're not really supposed to want what's happening here, because it's tragedy. It's just unfolding tragedy at this point. You're not necessarily meant to root for Eren and them at this point. You're meant to just be like, you know, somebody's gotta win, somebody's gotta fall. It's a war. Both sides have their you know, more relatable characters or more sympathetic characters. Like, you know, Gabby in the group, like, you know, they don't know any better. This is their home. Their home's getting trashed by a bunch of monsters that they know nothing about. So, for me, one of my favorite things about this season is that the whole paradigm has flipped. You know what I mean? The whole hero, villain, monster, hero thing has been switched over to where, because we know, you know, Marley's not all bad. It's not like everybody there is evil. It's just they've been brought up in a different world that is on the other side of this conflict. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that in fiction sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, it's a more nihilistic take on war, you know? It's not like Star Wars where it's like, hey, this is the evil empire. You know, we're evil. We are the dark side. You know, that's romantic good and evil. You know, that's when you're telling romantic fiction. When you're going nihilistic, there's not really supposed to be any, like, definitive heroes or definitive villains necessarily. It's not so much about sides, it's about, well, like, who are the people that have their head on their shoulders more on both sides? You know what I mean? Who are the people that, you know, are still retaining some humanity? Like, you look at Falco and his actions in these past several episodes, it's like, okay, he's clearly the more empathetic character on that side. He's the one who is always going to retain that humanity, as far as we know, because he doesn't like war. He doesn't like the glory of battle like Gabby. You know, Gabby is the one that's out for blood now in this episode. She's carrying her rifle and she's just like, she wants revenge against Eren Yeager. Like, why wouldn't she? From her point of view, she's just a kid who's having her home destroyed by an enemy that wants her destroyed. So, yeah, it's just, you know, I appreciate how it's handling all that. Like, yeah, it feels bad, but it's kind of supposed to feel bad. War is not good. It's shit. It happens, and it's part of, you know, the world. But I think there's nothing wrong with fiction taking that realistic approach when it does it well. And I feel like if Attack on Titan had stayed as a story of just like humans versus monsters, it could have. I'm not saying you can't have that show, but I feel like I've seen that a lot more in anime. You know, I've seen that plenty of times, and there's plenty of great shows out there that are just plain good and evil. So not everything has to be that. And it's rare, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's rare in any media to have a subversion like that, where you start out with characters who seem for the most part, to be the good guys, the ones we have to root for, that we want to root for. And the Titans are just mindless monsters. Now that we know the Titans are actually human too, that it's just a weapon, it's a power, a tool of war, then it becomes a lot more morally complex, and I like that. I think for this show, that was a good shift. That was a good twist to have. A gradual twist, but a twist nonetheless. And that's why it works, because we've had so much build-up for the last 3 seasons that things were going down this path. Even when, because we see them killing other, like, Marley soldiers, other humans in this season too. And it takes me back to season 3, where Armin's like reflecting on their current war within the walls, the civil war they're having with the other scouts. They're trying to hunt them down, and he's saying like, we're not good people anymore. Like, we're killing other humans. Like, this isn't what we were meant to be. And you know, it's meant to be a moment there. And it's meant to make you think, like, yeah, they're feeling the gravity, they're feeling the weight of what's happening here. Suddenly, it's not just slaying monsters. And once they relearn the truth of the Titans, well, what difference does it make at this point? They have killed humans, so they've already gotten a taste of that, and war is war. So, there are Titans on both sides. It's not about humans and Titans anymore, it's about human Titans versus human Titans. And a lot of mere humans are getting caught in the shuffle. Be it foot soldiers or just innocent bystanders. One way or another. You know, it makes sense, is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is a nation that has been fed lots of propaganda. So of course they're gonna see people from the island of Paradise as the enemy, plain and simple. Which is why poor Reiner, after all this, after everything I just laid down tirelessly, you can kind of feel why Reiner is like, fuck this, I'm done, just let me die. I don't blame the guy. I feel for Reiner, because we remember what he's been through. We know what he's gone through. He's more sympathetic here than he's ever been in the series. Like, you really kind of do feel sorry for the dude. But we get that final scene where he pops up out of the ground, and he's got a new form, which is interesting. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if him sleeping was supposed to be to achieve this new form. Maybe it was a little shift or a little twist there. Maybe we think he's given up, and that's what that new form is about, because he's got a whole new look to his Titan, to his armored Titan. So I'm sure we're in for a hell of a fight next episode. Because, you know, Eren's about to chomp down on the Jaw Titan. He's like, oh man, I'm about to get all kinds of new powers here. And Reiner just finally, after, you know, getting all the begging and screaming from Gabby and the group, you know, wake up, wake your ass up, Reiner. People are dying. And he's like, oh shit, Reiner, is that you? So they're about to duke it out, which is good. I'm glad Reiner's not done yet. I will say that. That would have been kind of a pitiful way for him to go. So this might be his last stand. I don't know. Will he stick around in the story? Can he muster enough, like, can he muster enough of his shattered conscience to do anything more? Or is he done? Who knows? But also, it's worth mentioning, they have a blimp now. The scouts have a blimp. They roll in to this episode with a frickin' blimp, which actually kind of makes me wonder where Armin came in with that little boat. I'm still not sure what that... I mean, I know he had to be by the Navy fleet to destroy them, but I wonder if he, like, descended from the blimp. I'm having a hard time actually understanding the full extent of what this plan was. Like, how many of the scouts were in on this together? I still want those answers, but pretty cool. They got a blimp. Hanj is up there. We got finally meet up with Hanji again, even if she's not doing anything like badass. It's cool to know that she's there. She's part of the gang that's still, and yeah, I am kind of hoping that we get an explanation soon for like what this plant was and where they all came together on this, because it almost seems like Eren just ran away. I still have this feeling like he just did this solo. He just went off to Marley, hid there for who knows how long, pretending to be a soldier. And we know Jean was there too, incognito. And I'm just like, I'm wondering, did he just go off on his own and the rest of the scouts were like, shit, we gotta get him back. He can't be over there alone. That's crazy. Because, of course, he is still the coordinator. He's still the founding Titan is in his blood, so apparently he has the power to summon an entire army of, like, Colossal Titans that are stuck in the walls back at home. And that's a huge deterrent for Paradis. You know, I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it is spelled that way. Paradis. Not Paradise, Paradis. I don't know. Maybe that's something from something referencing something else. I don't know. Maybe it's in a myth somewhere. Paradis. I don't know. But anyway, that's their ultimate deterrent. Because he is the founding Titan, he could summon this massive army of Colossal Titans. Assuming he knows how. I mean, you'd think he would have done that already, because I mean, wouldn't that have been more effective than just going alone? Or maybe it helps for him to be there. Maybe it's part of his plan. I don't know. But it seems like the rest of the scouts kind of got dragged along for it, kind of. I don't know. I'm still waiting for, like, the full disclosure there. But, yeah, overall, fantastic episode. I still like the CG. I do think, you know, there are maybe a couple of parts where, like, the scouts are zooming in and flying around that Wit, of course, would have done in a more, like, in a way that looks more fluid, I guess you could say. There's some choppiness here and there. It's hard to make CG look super fluid when you got all that shading and stuff going on, but I still think that this season has been getting a little too much heat. I know there are people who are not liking the CG or not liking Mappa's approach, but I think it looks great. In this episode especially, the Titan battling looked fantastic and gory and everything I want it to be. And probably the best visual moment in the whole show is the explosion we get from Armin, of course, because that was, whoo, that was a colossal blast, is what that was. That was freaking cool. And I know it's horrific. I know it sounds kind of messed up, but yeah, when he's looking over, and he's standing on the Colossal Titan, and he's just looking down, and he's like, "Yeah, I did all that." And it's like, I don't know. It's just a cool scene. It's a cool scene. Like, you got the Colossal Titan just in the wide shot there with all the flames everywhere, and it just looks so hellish and so brutal, and I don't know, man. I think Mappa knows what they're doing. It's a good looking season, I think. I like all the sort of blacks and flaming reds we're getting out of this. It looks like hell, you know? It should look like hell, and it does look like hell. Titan hell. Titan hell, and you know what, viewers? We're all invited. Oh, and the Cart Titan. I didn't even bring up the Cart Titan. We finally know who the Cart Titan is, even though Twitter has kind of made it easy for me to find out already beforehand, because osmosis is hard to avoid these days. But I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm not saying that's like a spoiler. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me. I just think it's funny that Peak, I don't know how to say her name. Peachon, a long black hair gal, was the Cart Titan all along. How cool is that? I think she kind of gets killed in this episode, but I don't know. I think I saw her in the previews. She's probably not dead, but she gets wrecked real bad. She gets pretty wrecked. But it is cool to see who the Titan was there, because as we know, Cart Titan started in Season 3. That's where it made its debut. And back then, we didn't know who was piloting that thing. So, pretty cool scene there. Lots of Titan on Titan action. I don't think we've ever seen this many Titans battling before, have we? Because you got the Jaw Titan, you got Eren, you've got the Beast Titan showing up for a little bit. Then you got the Cart Titan. Then you got the Colossal Titan. That's 5 Titans, viewers. 5 Titans in one episode. We've never had that before. I mean, we've had dozens of generic ones, you know, the mindless zombie Titans, but we've never had this many of just a true Titan. So I think that about wraps it up, though. That about wraps up my thoughts on this episode. So I am pumped. I'm pumped to see where we go next. Viewers, take care and live for the passion.